Hey guys, in this video I'll be talking about the new iPad. So this is essentially my thoughts video. I've got Apple's webpage loaded up on my iPad 2, and I've got the features page about the new iPad loaded up, and I'll essentially just be going through and giving you my thought or opinion on the new features or anything they don't include, or just simply my thoughts. So to start off with, if you didn't know yet, Apple has unveiled a new iPad. Doesn't have any special number, it's not called iPad HD or anything, it's just called the new iPad. Alright, so if we go down this page, the first feature that they talk about is the Retina display. So the Retina display has got a resolution of 2048 by 1536 pixels. Now that is a lot more than the iPad 2 and the previous iPad, and it packs so many pixels that at a normal viewing distance, when using the new iPad, your eye won't be able to distinguish between individual pixels. Now this is a similar technology to what they implemented in the iPhone 4, which has a screen resolution of 960 by 640, and from a normal viewing distance with that and the new iPod Touch, you can't distinguish individual pixels. Now, from experience, I can prove that that is true. I haven't been able to discern individual pixels whenever I'm using it at a normal distance. And with the iPad 2 and the previous iPad, like, the resolution was alright, but you could definitely notice, sometimes the text is a bit jagged or something's a bit, it could have been rendered much more better with higher resolution, and now that is possible thanks to the Retina display. The downside to the Retina display is that apps that you use will be, if they want to take advantage of the Retina display, they will have to be updated with bigger graphics, which does mean that app sizes in general have become a lot larger than what they were before. And that is annoying, because if it's a universal app and you want to update your iPod Touch or your iPhone or something that doesn't support the iPad's Retina display, then it has to download these graphics over again, and it's just pointless, really. Like, I know a couple of people haven't been able to install all of the updates in one go, or simply their device doesn't have enough storage to fit it, because the apps have become a fair bit larger now. So if you were to go and buy one of these new iPads, I'd recommend trying to go for maybe a 32GB model over a 16GB model, because as the app sizes become bigger, it'll start to fill up that 16GB quickly, because you want to put your content on and such as well, especially now that iTunes has added 1080p movies and TV shows. So I'd recommend going for a 32GB model, but ultimately the choice is up to you. If you want to get a 16GB model, that's perfectly fine. And in fact, the Retina display has got such a high resolution that it's got over 1 million pixels more than a Full HD TV. So a Full HD TV has got a resolution of 1920 by 1080, and that's the format at what most HD cameras record at. But this new iPad has a resolution of 2048 by 1536, so it's got a lot more pixels packed into a much smaller space, which means that everything just looks amazing on this new iPad. Alright, heading down here, the next feature, the A5X chip. So if you didn't know, the iPad 2 and the iPhone 4S are powered by Apple's A5 dual-core chip, and now that has been improved to give us the A5X chip. So it's still a dual-core chip, and Apple says that it has got quad-core graphics. Now that has confused a couple of people, because they think it has a quad-core processor, like say the Asus Transformer Prime, but that isn't true. It's still got it's still a dual-core chip, but it does deliver quad-core graphics, which means games like Real Racing 2, Infinity Blade 2, plenty of other games will be able to run a lot better. And I guess Apple really needed to have quad-core graphics in the A5X, because if they want to power a Retina display and still be able to run really good games at native resolution, they'd have to have an improved chip with quad-core graphics to be able to run all of it. And during their keynote, they did say that the new A5X chip has got, I think it's 4 times better performance than the Tegra 2 or the Tegra 3. Now, I'm not sure if that is true, but a lot of tech websites have run a couple of benchmarks, and it does show that the A5X chip is a lot faster than the Tegra 3. So the A5X could be considered the best mobile processor out there for tablets right now. So if we head out here, oh yes, another thing I should mention. They don't, they say it on Apple's website, but most people probably didn't know that the new iPad is actually slightly heavier and slightly thicker than the iPad 2. Now, usually Apple, they like to decrease the weight and thickness of their products as they go from generation to generation, but really what we're talking about, it isn't even that much of a difference. Like, it's just a little bit more weight and like, oh, something probably, I don't know the exact measurement, but it's definitely a very small increase in thickness. And that's most likely because, you know, they've packed so many things into this iPad, like, for example, the battery. They obviously included a much bigger battery because it has to power, you know, all the new electronics within the new iPad and the Retina display, and they've still managed to keep its legendary 10-hour battery life. So I'm thinking it could be the battery that's forcing them to use that extra space, but who knows what. Okay, let's go down. Ah, yes. Now we have the new iSight camera on the iPad. Now, I don't know why they went with the name iSight, because that is, it suggests legacy products. Like, now I do believe that they use the terminology FaceTime camera on the new Macs. Like, I remember back with my 2009 iMac, when it was released, they referred to it as an iSight camera. But ever since then, and ever since FaceTime has been released on the Mac, it's generally been called a FaceTime camera. Like, what I'm using right now, recording from my MacBook Pro, would be considered a FaceTime camera. But they've decided to go with the name iSight camera. Not exactly sure why, but, you know, it's nothing really to be worried about. So the new iSight camera on the iPad has got it's got a 5 megapixel sensor, and it shoots 1080p video. So that is definitely a much bigger improvement over the iPad 2, which recorded video at 720p, and the photos that it took were essentially video stills, meaning that they were less than 1 megapixel. So yeah, if you try to take photos with an iPad 2, they turn out pretty blurry, and trying to view them on the iPad 2 as well, they just do not look good at all. So yeah, this is a major improvement, and it's actually the same camera system that was used in the iPhone 4. So they've got multiple elements to it and such. And when you're recording 1080p video, it will automatically stabilize it for you as well. I assume that they're using something similar to what iMovie uses for its stabilization. So yeah, it's pretty good stuff. So the next new iPad feature to talk about is their new improved wireless connectivity. So the new iPad does come, it is 4G enabled, so it will work on 4G networks. Now there is a bit of controversy around that, because here in Australia, the 4G won't essentially work. We only have one telco here that does have a 4G network, and that is Telstra. And they operate at a different bandwidth to what the new iPad uses to connect to 4G networks, which essentially means that we can't use 4G over here. So we won't be able to take advantage of the improved speed of 4G with the new iPad. So we will only be able to use, well, here in Australia, we'll be only able to use the 3G networks that telcos here offer. I'm not sure if any of them offer HSPA Plus networks, because I know the new iPad does support HSPA Plus, which means that you will get slightly improved service on 3G networks. But it is rather disappointing that they didn't. Well, I really don't know whether it's Apple's fault or the Telstra's fault, really, but it's just kind of disappointing that we won't be able to take advantage of 4G on the new iPad. Like, I've got the iPad features page from Apple's Australia website on here, and if you have a look at it, it says ultra-fast wireless, whereas on the United States website it does say 4G LTE. So yeah, we can't use the 4G here, but you know, if we have any HSPA plus networks in Australia, that's you know, that's pretty good, I guess. Alright, moving down the page, iOS, iCloud. Ah, yes, dictation. So, everyone knows about Siri on the iPhone 4S. You know, you hold down the home button and you can talk to her. She's essentially your personal assistant. What most people overlook is that if you're in any app on an iPhone 4S or any iOS device that's running Spire correctly, if you look at the keyboard, there's actually a small mic button on it, and if you tap on it and you speak anything, and the iPhone 4S picks it up, and you can hit done once you finish talking to your iPhone 4S, and Siri will actually process what you've said and enter it in as text. So say if you're in like the Notes app, you tap on your note and it brings up the keyboard, and then if you hit the dictation button and then you say something, then you hit done, Siri will think about it for a second and then will write the text out for you. So they've essentially brought that to the iPad. So just like with the iPhone 4S, any app that has a keyboard, you can just tap on the mic button and speak whatever you want it to type, and then it'll write it out for you. So what else is there here? The iPad smart cover. So that isn't exactly a new feature, but from what I've heard, I do believe the current, oh, not the current, but the iPad 2's smart cover does work with the new iPad. I haven't been able to confirm that, but if anyone knows, just leave a comment down below, because that will be useful to know. And now AirPlay. Alright, so I'm not sure whether the iPad 2 and the original iPad supported 1080p video, but if they didn't, the new iPad 3 does support, no, sorry, it calls it an iPad 3. The new iPad does support that, so you can watch 1080p content on your on the new iPad, and if you purchase the recently updated Apple TV that is capable of 1080p, you can stream 1080p video from your new iPad to the new Apple TV. Alright, what else is there? Oh, well, while I'm on the website, I might as well talk about Apple's new iLife app for the iPad, iPhone, and iPod Touch, iPhoto. So for those who aren't familiar with it, iPhoto was an application that is part of the iLife suite, available for both Mac OS X and iOS. That includes things like GarageBand, iMovie, and now iPhoto. So iPhoto, from the pictures and videos that I've seen, iPhoto for iOS, especially on the new iPad, looks really good. Like, I can see through the screenshots and the videos, they've redesigned everything. It looks nothing like iPhoto on the Mac, which was actually, in their latest release, iPhoto 11, was actually attempting to look more like iOS, but the new iPhoto looks nothing like that, actually, and that's actually a pretty good thing, I guess, because it looks a lot simpler. You know, you've got all your editing tools there, and it's just simple and intuitive, and if for some reason you get lost in it, you know, at any point you can just tap on the question mark button, and then there'll be like little captions everywhere that tell you what each function does and such. And editing photos with it on the new iPad actually looks really simple. Like, you can select the brushes to pick certain effects. I really like the saturation one, where you can just like tap and hold on the screen and then drag up for bluer skies and such. That just seems amazing. Definitely a lot simpler than what you have to do with iPhoto on a Mac, as simple enough as that was. So that's really good. What else is there about iPhoto? There's photo journals now. So essentially you can take your events from iPhoto and like turn them into like kind of scrapbook looking things. There's just like all your photos everywhere. You can resize them and such, and then include, say, location data or, you know, time data or weather data, just to show what a certain event was like with your photos. And looking for the screenshots here, you can also view them on Macs through the web. So that's really cool. And then there's also photo beaming. So I guess you could just like take your iPhone or your iPod or maybe even another iPad, and if you've got iPhoto installed on both of them, just beam a photo from your iPod onto your iPad. Now, I guess that's pretty cool, but I guess iCloud already kind of does that with PhotoStream, and PhotoStream is actually rather nice now that you can delete photos from your PhotoStream, which is the only major problem I had with it. But I guess for people that don't use iCloud or haven't got PhotoStream activated, I guess that's a really good feature. Alright, so that's it for my new iPad My Thoughts video. If you want to leave your thoughts or anything that I may have gotten wrong, or you want to correct me or something, just leave a comment down below, and don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe.